Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 3 on the agenda is public comment on agenda items other than development or rezoning applications. I would like to note that we are actually having an additional public comment period, and that would be item 12 on the agenda. So there will be, we do have for number 12, the Government Study Commission, and we are reserving a period of time for public comment here. So you can feel free to speak now because it is an agenda item, or you can wait and you can speak during that number 12 time period. I know you guys know the drill. Just if you could just state your name, you don't have to state your address when you come up for public comment. You can just write your address down in on the log.
Try not to knock the microphone out of this time. My name is Sue Weber, and firstly, I would like to read a letter from Tina Donikowski, who asked that the letter be presented on her behalf today, as she could not attend this meeting. So I am using her allotted time to do that. Tina Donikowski is retired from GE, where she was vice president of the locomotive division. She also serves on the following boards: Fortune 500 company Advanced Energy, which operates in 15 countries and employs over 10,000 people. Top Build, that employs over 14,000 people. Its 2023 gross revenues were $1.286 billion. And she serves locally on the board of Aries Magnetics, that's headquartered in Millcreek, although it's worldwide. Their 2023 revenues were $190 million. So this is a corporate woman who has just an amazing business record. Please use my letter as a show of support at the upcoming Millcreek Supervisors meeting on May 14th. Dear Millcreek Township Board of Supervisors, I write to you today to express my ardent support to place a government study question on the November 5th, 2024 general election ballot. Millcreek voters deserve the opportunity to elect a commission to study the existing form of government of Millcreek Township and to understand if an optional form of government could be adopted to better serve the needs of Millcreek residents. In my 40-plus years of business, I have observed that most successful outcomes occur when leaders continually seek better and improved methods of operation. Maintaining the status quo in light of an ever-changing environment leads to inefficiencies and waste. At the very least, Millcreek residents deserve to understand how Millcreek is the only second-class Pennsylvania township in the top 25 largest with a completely unique form of government, 3 supervisors as paid employees. Government works best when it represents all constituents with transparency and accountability. A no vote to allowing this study is just plain wrong. Do the right thing and authorize putting the question to the voters and let the voters decide. Sincerely, Tina Donikowski. I have additional comments, but I'll make them from myself under the agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Art Leopold, I live in Millcreek. Thank you, commissioners and officers of Millcreek. Appreciate the opportunity to speak for you. Democracy works best when citizens are most involved. In 2011, 2013, and now, citizens have a groundswell of opinion that they would like to study if there are better options or better ways to govern the community. Even the census is taken every 10 years, and that's obviously nationwide. Public meetings and sunshine into government helps the government work best and work for the people. So therefore, I ask that you place on the November 5th, 2024 general election ballot, a question: shall a government study commission of 7 members be elected to study the existing form of government of Millcreek Township, Erie County, PA, to consider the advisability of the adoption of an optional form of government, to recommend whether or not optional plan of government should be adopted? Please remember, Martin Luther King suggested that democracy is not a state, but an act where we must all do our own part. The arc of moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. And in closing, just today, those of you who are tech people, I was for 30 years, there's a new chat GPT that's been announced, 4.0. And why would that be? Why? Because it's only been available for the last year or so. We're on 4.0 because they know, large corporation planning for the future, is to upgrade and to review and to put in the hands of users and people the latest version is what's best for their business and for the community at large. And so I'd ask for you to help follow the Millcreek residents and help them participate in their democracy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Art. Anyone else wish to speak at this time? I will make the announcement again. We actually do have a public comment period specifically on the agenda today. It's number 12 on the agenda. And that is dedicated completely to public comment on the Government Study Commission. So if you would like to wait until then, that is fine. I have a feeling that's when we'll have most of our residents speak. But this, like I said, this is an item on the agenda, so you are still able to speak. But this is public comment for agenda items.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is William Schaff. I live up on West Ferry Farms. I've been a Millcreek resident and property owner of multiple properties for the last 45 plus years. I was a real estate broker and appraiser until December when I retired. At any rate, my request to you this morning is to seriously consider item 12 in your agenda item, to put that on the ballot and let the citizens, your constituents, have an informed and educated result as whether we really do have the best form of government. It's not a decision today up or down. It's an opportunity to inform all of the people that live in Millcreek Township as to whether we're really heading in the right direction. So I respectfully request that you consider that and put it on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, as most of you know me, I'm John Groh, former Millcreek supervisor, and presently a elected township auditor. And I'm going to talk about item number 9 here regarding the compensation for auditors. And I'm going to be brief as possible. One thing to keep in mind, I'm also an instructor of government classes, local government classes with the Pennsylvania Boroughs Association. One of the oddities regarding second-class township is the position or the elected office of auditor. And the role of that in township government is to, of course, do a financial audit when you got a smaller municipal budget. Our budget is $31 million, thereabout, plus or minus, something in that range. I don't have the exact number here in front of me, but we have CPA firms do our auditing, make sure that the financial expenditures are correct and everything. The sole job of the elected auditor is to set the pay and benefits for the supervisors who work who are paid as administrators. One thing to keep in mind, when a supervisor is elected under second-class township code, it is strictly in the role of legislator. To take an administrative role is an option. There is no requirement that any of the supervisors take the positions that are out there as far as administrators here in Millcreek government. So the oddity, what I'm getting at, I'll just get right to the point here, is that Governor Shapiro recently signed a state law that increased the pay for auditors, for the elected auditors. We go from $10 per hour to $18 an hour, okay? I know that's a lot of money there, and I got to put off with a Swiss bank account, okay? Actually, our meeting is very brief when we meet. It's usually after the reorganizational meeting in January that the supervisors have. It's the day after. So it's generally 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the most. What's odd about this is that they're hopefully going to pass a resolution to increase the pay. I will not be getting any pay increase because I'm still in office. I believe it's going to be for the next group of auditors that should be successful in running. They will get the $18 an hour. It's not a complaint from me. It's never been about the money, but it's the appearance is what this is. The supervisors are going to pass a resolution setting the pay for auditors. Our job as auditors is to set the pay for the supervisors. I think you see what I'm talking about here. This is one of the little problems with second-class township code, and especially now that Millcreek is the size of it as it is, the budget and the services that we provide. So I just wanted to make that comment about that. Thank you for allowing me to do that, and may I come back up again under item 12?
Yes.
I don't want to.
Absolutely.
You guys there too. I know what it's like. I've been in those seats before there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Moving on then, we have the approval of the minutes. We have our minutes from April 30th, 2024, regular meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Mock. Any discussion? Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the bills.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Number 6 on our agenda are bids and quotations. For our first item, we have a flood detention basin mowing bid results and award from our engineering department. Mr. Rodemoyer.
Good morning. First up is for the flood detention basin. This is for 9 flood detention basins that the township owns. We did seek out 5 quotes from different contractors. We did not receive submissions back from Dahlkamper, Afton, Consul. We did receive back from Flagship Outdoor Services. Unfortunately, there was a couple of line items that they weren't able to complete, I think due to equipment. And the last one, we did receive a quote from Conco Landscape for $21,300. And the engineering department is recommending approval of Conco for that work for 2024.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Rodemoyer?
I have one, Kim.
Sure.
So, Rob, you mentioned that those two, the Love Farm and the Valley Ridge basins, they did not quote
Correct.
those. And you think it's because of equipment?
It is. It's, yeah, you need much larger equipment. I think Rob probably has a better experience than I do, just, I think previously, so yeah.
Okay, are those two of the more challenging basins to?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Okay, because, we all noticed they're $6,000 less than Kunco.
Yeah.
And I'm
Even if you
assuming,
break that out, Conco's still cheaper, yeah, for the other line items.
okay, so somebody actually spoke with Flagship
Yeah.
regarding the challenges of those two basins. Okay, thank you, Rob.
Sure.
That's all I wanted.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the Kunso as the bid winner?
So moved.
I will second.
Motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I will call for a vote. Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion carries. Evanston Road Sidewalk Project bid results and award, also was Mr. Rodemoyer.
Yes, this is for the 2024 CDBG project for Evanston Road Sidewalk. This was a public bid. We did receive 5 bids for that project, with Empire Services being the low bid. Unfortunately, their bid was not submitted correctly. There was 2 specific forms that were the major issues as far as incomplete, I guess you could say, as far as the bid goes in regards to their certification for bidder regarding equal opportunity, and then the special provision for the signature page associated with that bid. The engineering department is recommending rejection of that bid for those 2 reasons, for an incomplete bid submission. And we would be recommending that Emmondale and the next second lowest bidder be awarded that bid for the Evanston project for $187,137.50.
Great. Any questions for Mr. Rodemoyer? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion carries. The Wilkins Run bid results and award. Mr. Rodemoyer.
We did put this on the agenda for hoping from award. Unfortunately, we did receive comments back from FEMA in regards to some issues that we still have to address, permitting reasons, and I believe the decision was to table. I recommend to table this, to not award or make any recommendation at this point for this project.
Thank you. I believe board action is required. Do I have a motion to table the Wilkins Run award?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, calling for the vote. Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries to table. Now we have the 2024 Small 88 Upgrade Project bid result and award. Mr. Rodemoyer, again.
Yes, this is for some miscellaneous sidewalk repairs that we were required to do under the Voices Agreement. We did seek out for 9 specific locations in regards to these repairs. We reached out to 3 different contractors as far as receiving quotes for this little bit of work. And the low quote was from Brazil Construction for $15,943, and we're making a recommendation to approve Brazil for this work.
Thank you very much. Any questions regarding the bid result? Okay, do I have a motion to approve? Roselle?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Olet, seconded by Mr. Bach. Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion carries. Next, we have Zook Park pickleball fence. And to speak on that is Ms. Marsteller.
Thank you. The Parks and Recreation Department would like to add additional fencing in between the pickleball courts at Zook Park. The additional fencing would help contain balls to each court's area and help eliminate issues with interference with play happening on other courts. Each court would have a gated entrance to allow people to pass through, yet enclose the court while a game is going on. A safety top rail topper would be installed on the fence as well. The fence installation was accounted for in the Parks and Recreation capital budget. Keystone Fence, who installed the current fence at the parks last year, quoted the project at $12,480. This is under the quote requirement of $12,600 and also comes in under the budget allotment of $16,000. There would be a capital budget surplus of $3,520 upon completion. It is my recommendation to approve the fence installation by Keystone Fence for $12,480.
Great. Any questions for Ms. Marsteller? Any timeline, I will ask, on this?
Hopefully very soon.
Okay. I know there are a lot of anxious pickleball players that would want to know.
The courts are still open and actively being used.
Okay.
This will just make for happier pickleballers.
Happier, okay. All right, good to know. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the offense?
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Mr. Bach and seconded by Mr. Olet. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion carries. We have a sewer truck lease in the Public Works Department, in our sewer department. Mr. Donikowski.
Thank you. Good morning. The Sewer Department is seeking approval to lease a 2024 Chevy Silverado 1500 double cab to replace a current fleet vehicle. This vehicle will be leased through Enterprise Fleet Management. The price for this vehicle will be $849.82 per month with a 60-month term. I anticipate that we will take delivery of this vehicle in June, so the total cost for this budget year should be $5,098.92. Funds will be taken from the half-ton pickup line of the Sewer Department's capital budget, leaving a balance of $39,901.08. I recommend approval of this vehicle.
Any questions for Mr. Donikowski? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
And I will second. A motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Kim Clear. I'll open it up for discussion. Seeing none, Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
No.
And I vote yes. Motion carries. Next up, we have the Highland Meadows replacement pump, Public Works Sewer Department.
The Sewer Department is seeking approval to purchase a new Barnes 4-inch hydraulic Series C pump for the Highland Meadows pump station. One quote was received from Miller Pump Supply for a price of $12,534.74 under CoStar's contract 541212-2024-01-SB. Funds for this will be taken from the replacement pump line of the Sewer Department capital budget, leaving a balance of $62,191.86. I recommend the purchase of this pump from Miller Pump Supply.
Any questions for Mr. Donikowski? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Whispering Woods replacement pump, Public Works.
The Sewer Department is seeking approval to purchase a new Barnes 4-inch submersible chopper pump for the Whispering Woods No. 1 pump station. One quote was received from Miller Pump Supply for a price of $15,273.40 under CoStar's contract 541212-2024-01-SB. Funds for this will be taken from the replacement pump line of the Sewer Department capital budget, leaving a balance of $74,726.60. I recommend the purchase of this pump from Miller Pump Supply.
Any questions for Mr. Donikowski? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Olet, seconded by Mr. Bach. Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. And the Coast Grant vehicle purchase from the MPD.
Thank you. Recently, the township was awarded a 2-year extension of the Coast Grant by the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency, and the grant award allocated up to $35,000 to purchase a new vehicle for the crisis clinician to use. I learned that Champion Ford here in the township recently became a CoStar's vendor. They provided a quote of $32,674.20 for a 2024 Ford Escape. This is the CoStar's price, and their CoStar's number is 154979. And I request approval for purchase of this vehicle with the use of 100% Coast Grant funding.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Chief Mook? Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. And I skipped the Shore Haven pump station. I'm sorry. So many pump stations, so little time. I apologize. Shore Haven Pump Station RFP results and award. Mr. Donikowski.
We recently received engineering proposals for our upcoming Shore Haven Pump Station project. Pricing is as follows. Burgess and Nyepel, $45,400. This does not include geo studies for a retaining wall design. Greenman Peterson, $83,700. LSSE, formerly Raybell, is $113,200. and urban engineers was $115,760. There is currently $86,320 remaining in the Shorehaven line of the Sewer Department capital budget. Due to Greenman Peterson being the lowest proposal that includes all necessary study and design, I recommend that they be awarded this work for a price of $83,700.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Donakowski? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Number 7 on the agenda, new amended ordinances under review. And to speak on this is Attorney Shaw.
Yes, we have 3 ordinances that are being considered at the moment. First one is the Saldo, as we've talked in prior meetings. The Planning and Development group is meeting with the township engineer to finalize that document. Next is an amendment to Chapter 55, Article 3 of the Township Code, which relates to reimbursement for services and materials associated with, at this point, it's the police department and the volunteer fire departments. The change would be to reflect the addition of the Millcreek Township Fire Department, and we're looking to consolidate that process for the volunteer departments and to allow the Millcreek Fire Department to obtain recoveries as may be allowed by law. We're also looking into the same ability to recover the costs incurred by the ambulance that was acquired as part of the Millcreek Township Fire Department as well. A draft of the ordinance has been circulated internally for comments, and we're looking to get that finalized as well. And lastly, the current zoning ordinance was adopted in April of 2022, and earlier this year, the Board of Supervisors referred the ordinance to the Planning Commission for review and recommendation of any proposed changes. The Planning Commission accepted comments on that ordinance and made a recommendation at their May meeting. The board will now consider those recommendations and will hold a public hearing on June 25 at 4:30 to consider the proposed amendments. A vast majority of the proposed amendments are kind of fixing typos and just things that have been found, since the ordinance has been passed, as well as a couple of minor substantive changes. And that's all that's currently on our plate for new and amended ordinances.
Okay, thank you very much. Resolution 2024-R11. This is a resolution pursuant to the 2015 R20 and Municipal Records Manual to approve proposed disposition of certain records. And to speak on this, I believe Attorney Shaw.
Yeah, before you is a resolution to approve the disposal of certain municipal records maintained by the Police Department, the HR Department, and the Public Works Department that are reaching the end of their retention period under the Municipal Records Manual. The records to be disposed would include MVR BWC footage that includes test recordings from March 1 of 24 through March 28th of 24, traffic stops from February 14th of 24 through February 27th of 24, incident only and special circumstances from 5/14/22 through 5/27/22, and case report, arrest report, and SRR unknown type reports from 5/14 of 2004 through 5/27 of 04. In addition, there are medical, dental, vision claims, unemployment comp claims, insurance and workers' comp claims, and employee files where employee ended in 2018, and applications for employment and financial records from MTWA and MTSA, including AR, AP, payroll, and financials from 2014 through 2016. The recommendation would be to approve disposal of those records.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Attorney Shaw? Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Mr. Bach and seconded by Mr. Olet. Any discussion? If not, I will call for a vote. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Next on our agenda, number 9, Resolution 2024-R12 is a resolution of Millcreek Township, Erie County, Pennsylvania, providing for auditor compensation. Speak on this, I believe, Attorney Shaw.
Yes, as former Supervisor Grow pointed out, the Pennsylvania legislature and the governor recently enacted Act 10 of 2024, amending the provisions of the second-class township code concerning determining compensation for elected auditors. Under Act 10, an auditor entering office after the effective date of April 15 of 2024 shall receive compensation for each hour employed in the duties as a township auditor as outlined in Section 901 of the second-class township code in an amount of $18 an hour to complete the annual audit, settlement, and adjustment for not more than 50 hours to audit the accounts of a public official who handles public funds when a vacancy occurs in that office. Auditors in a township with a population of 10,000 or more may not receive compensation more than $3,500 for completing the annual audit and settlement and adjustment. Before you is a resolution adopting the new compensation provision for auditors taking office after April 15 of 2024. My recommendation would be to approve this resolution.
Any questions for Attorney Shaw? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Congratulations to the future auditors. Or something like that. Number 10 on the agenda, Glenwood Park Low Pressure Sewer Project Agreement with Greenman Pedersen, Inc. This was tabled from our 4/30/2024 meeting. Mr. Brunemoyer?
I believe at this point, we have to do some certain requirements. I think, Mark, specifically, we have to pass a resolution. The intent is for this to be a sewer project, so I would assume we'd have to table it again.
Yeah, my suggestion would be to table it again as well as just simply remove it from the agenda at this point until we're in a position to reintroduce it.
Okay. If I make a motion, or if someone makes a motion to remove it from the agenda,
Yeah.
that would suffice? Okay. Do I have a motion to remove the Glenwood Park Low Pressure Sewer Project from the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries and will be removed from the agenda. Number 11 on our agenda is the Park and Rec Department Strategic Plan that will be presented by Ashley Marsteller from our director, who is our Director of Park and Rec. And I believe joining her today is Ms. Amy Murdoch. I will say that I am very excited about this presentation today. This has been a lot of work over many, I'm going to say years, but particularly in the last 10 months. That has been done by many people within the Park and Rec Department and beyond. Would we be able to maybe move the screen just a little bit so that it faces the audience a little better?
Can everyone see that?
Can everyone see? Is that better? Gary Winchell, can you see it? Yes. Okay. You're in that far corner, so.
Okay, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm very excited and pleased to introduce our 5-year Parks and Recreation Strategic Plan today. The completion of this plan marks a pivotal milestone in our journey towards fostering a vibrant and connected community in Millcreek, and I'm honored to have the opportunity to share this transformative roadmap with you. Our strategic plan was developed through the diligent efforts of our esteemed planning consultant team at Altair, led by planner Amy Murdoch. The strategic plan is the culmination of extensive research, community engagement, and forward-thinking planning. It reflects our collective commitment to enhancing the quality of life for all of our residents at Millcreek Township, ensuring that our parks and recreational amenities continue to serve as cherished assets for generations to come. Over the past several months, our consulting team has worked closely with residents to assess our current needs, identify opportunities for improvement, and chart a course for sustainable growth and development. The result is now a plan that aligns closely with the goals and aspirations that the Parks and Recreation Department has, as well as the mission and vision of the Millcreek Township. Throughout the presentation today, we'll dive into some of the key components of our strategic plan, highlighting its overarching focus areas and key insights. From enhancing park facilities and recreation programs to fostering inclusivity, each aspect of this plan will undoubtedly enrich the lives of residents and strengthen the fabric of our community. So here to speak more on our Parks and Recreation strategic plan is Amy Murdoch.
Thanks, Ashley. Should I? Okay, yeah, cool, that works. Good morning, I'm Amy Murdoch. I'm a certified planner. I do work with Altair Consulting Group. I started my career actually in Erie County as the Greenways planner, so it's really, this type of work is really exciting to me, and we appreciate the opportunity to be a partner with Millcreek in this. I'm going to keep it high level because I know we have a really full agenda today, and talk a little bit about the planning process and just the high level focus areas and where this is going. Okay, so let's just take a minute and demystify planning a little bit, right? So planning, the way we describe it, is really this sort of art of taking public engagement, what you all as the community have told us is important to you, and then evaluating the data that we see, which then that really becomes the equation for the focus areas for this process, okay? So the public engagement portion of this included 3 workshops, and we had one additional open house here, and a community survey where we had over 500 responses to the question. So we had pretty good engagement, and I would say overall folks seem really, really excited about Parks and Recreation, especially this time of year. It's hard not to be. And I think I had a lot of really good things to say about Ashley and the department as a whole. And then on the data side, what we looked at was the inventory that the township has. How many parks do you have? What kinds of programs and amenities are happening? We looked at national benchmarks. So there's an organization called the National Recreation and Parks Association. They benchmark, all kinds of municipalities and parks and recreation programs nationally. So we took a really hard look at that as well. And then we also did some GIS analysis. We looked at what's the walkability to parks. The team in the planning department did some really great GIS analysis around that and some mapping work. And then finally, we did some analysis on the community survey. Okay, and I should add too, I'm not going to go into real deep dive level here, but I will stick around if you all have questions and want to chat about this process at all. I'll be available for you. Okay. So here's really kind of the 3 big things that we learned, and I think we were a little surprised at some of them. So the top thing that we learned is residents really like walking, biking, hiking trails, right? What we heard from folks was this really strong preference for just trails, ability to walk, hike, ride a bike. That was by far the top priority that we heard from folks, okay? The other thing that we learned was not everyone knows where these parks and trails and opportunities are, which that surprised us a little bit. And so we really felt part of this plan really focuses on targeting residents, reaching out, doing some data analysis every year on the residents that are being reached by some of these communication efforts, and really try to make sure that we're reaching everyone, okay? And the third area was the township by far, by every measure, whether it's financial, whether it's staff, the number of parks and amenities, you're punching way, way above your weight compared to other municipalities of your size, okay? So this department and this township, this team, is doing a remarkable job compared to other municipalities of its size. So something you should really, really feel proud of and really feel good about. But unfortunately, their resources are spread a little bit thin, right? And so we're really recommending any opportunity to try to centralize some of these resources, focus investment into programs and amenities that are in high demand from residents that we talked about. We really want to see that sort of targeted investment and focus that allows the department to operate really, really efficiently, okay? So I think I'm going to just talk high level because I know we have a few more things on the agenda and not get into some of the data, and we'll have that available on the website and we can be available for questions. But in terms of focus areas and recommendations, one, promoting connectivity and walkability to recreational assets. One area that we're recommending, in addition to increasing trails within parks, is also to think about sidewalk connectivity. So there's this kind of golden rule that we think about in terms of parks and recreation and connectivity is that in heaven, every citizen is within a 10-minute walk to a park. Right? That's challenging in a municipality like Millcreek, but to the extent we can find some areas and make some progress and focus on sidewalk improvements in addition to trails and amenities within parks, we want to try to do that because we really, really want folks to be connected to those opportunities, to those green spaces and parks, okay? The second area, boosting marketing, promotion, and community engagement. We're recommending an annual communication strategy that's pretty robust. So we want to reach folks through many different medium, right? Whether it's social media, whether it's traditional newsletter that the township sends out. But we also want to try to collect some data on who's being reached, right? So what we found through this process was most of the folks that were engaged in the process were like 40 to 60, which is great, but we want to really try to engage a whole range of citizens in the township, okay? And then again, this targeted investments in a centralized and high demand recreational assets. So you talked about Tina, who's a really strong businesswoman. I think any person in business would tell you the more efficiency that you can gain, the more return on investment you'll have. We think there's some opportunities to really kind of centralize some of this activity so that the department can do even more with what they have. Okay, I think that's all I have, Ashley, unless there's anything else you'd like me to add?
No, I mean, we would like to thank everyone. There are some people here who were involved in the planning process and engaging with us and helping give our feedback. The Parks and Rec Department is extremely excited to move forward with some of the recommendations of this plan, and we continue to strive to be a resource for our community for health and happiness and a feeling of togetherness and a sense of community. So that's really, this plan's gonna kind of help lay the steps of what we can do to improve our park system and improve our recreational offerings and try to be the best that we can for Millcreek.
Yeah, all right.
That is awesome, thank you. I just had a question. The project that Millcreek was supposed to put in some money and partner with the state where you took the trail, from up where it begins at the top of Peninsula Drive and then swung it around through so that people didn't have to bike and walk on the road there and it connected right to the park. That would be part of our recreation. What happened to that?
I can speak to that.
Sure.
Mr. Waldinger is actually our planning director, just so everyone knows, Matt Waldinger. He actually is at this time looking at additional resources that and grant opportunities. Actually, he and I are taking this 9-week class right now that is instructing us on the availability of grant opportunities at the federal level. Through the Appalachian coordination through the federal government. So we are identifying other opportunities for funding for that project. And that would be in conjunction with PennDOT and DCNR. The initial plan was to connect at Presque Isle, go in front of Sarah's, and then come up to the Tom Ridge Environmental Center. So that's still a work in progress. The money is still available to us, Ms. Weber, so that has not, that is still available. And I believe that was through DCNR? DCED.
Is it a match and you don't have your match amount? The township doesn't have it, it's like a match?
Well, unfortunately, what happened was the project budget was conceived in 2019, and we received our grant in 2019. And since then, the project has quadrupled in cost. Basically because of 2020.
Yeah, I mean, it's an item we're not abandoning, we just need to continue to find ways to fund it. But yeah, we hope to add connectivity in as many places as we can and help people find our parks, enjoy our parks, and enjoy the opportunities that we have here in Millcreek. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed reading the information from the study that you did.
Thank you.
Is that for public consumption?
So following this meeting, I'll be posting it on the Parks and Rec page within the township website at millcreektownship.com.
So for those residents that would like to take a closer look at the results of that, head to our website.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much, Ms. Murdoch, for being here for the presentation. Okay, number 12 on the agenda is the Government Study Commission. This is a public comment opportunity. At the April 30th, 2024 public meeting, the Board of Supervisors was asked to pass an ordinance that would put a question on the November 2024 ballot asking the residents if they would agree to forming a government study commission. Today, we have dedicated a public comment period solely to the residents for their input on forming a commission for a government study. As with every vote, the Board of Supervisors is doing our due diligence to determine the cost associated with this study, as the study will be line itemed in the 2025 budget. The board is also working on identifying possible grant opportunities, creating a budget for the study, as well as coordinating a general timeline and scope of work for the commission. Once we have identified the cost associated with the study, the board will educate the residents and consider passing the government study ordinance. Finally, yesterday, after some digging, Cheryl Williams found a CD holding the previous study that was done in 2012. So thank you, Cheryl. And with the help of IT coordinator John Fleming and communications coordinator Sam Peterson, we have made the 2024 study available online for residents to peruse. I thought it was important for residents to see what the previous study looked like and how maybe we could use that as a springboard for what might be done in the future. And I also didn't know how many people had access to the previous study and the results. So that is available on our, I believe it's the board, Sam calls it, the flashing board that comes on our website, as well as it is in there's another section. There are two places to find it anyway. But if you put in government study, you would be able to find it on our website. But it's right on the front page. Okay, with that, we will open this up for public comment. We are going to be allowing 3 minutes for our residents to speak, and we just ask that you say your name at the podium and write your name in I think there's a tablet up there. Okay. Who wants to be first? Oh.
Good morning. My name is Bob Enos, and I have a letter here from Robin Shepner, who is my new hero after reading her resume here, which I'm not going to have time to read, but she expected to retire in her 50s. I love this lady. She instead became involved in running the family business, American Tinning and Galvanizing, after the death of her father. And for almost a decade, she commuted back and forth to Erie from Naples, returning permanently in Erie in 2013. Since Robin took the helm at ATG, the company has nearly doubled its workforce, invested millions of dollars in infrastructure and equipment, earned prestigious aerospace certification, consistently enjoyed double-digit growth. Programs and activities were implemented to foster teamwork and camaraderie. This is the letter that she's allowed me to read. Please use this email to signal my ardent support for a government study about the Millcreek Supervisors, especially since Millcreek is the only mid-sized township with paid supervisors. It would appear logical to discuss why this unique situation exists and the rationale behind it. If Millcreek is the only township participating in this form of leadership, what do all those other municipalities know that we don't? As in any enterprise, it is always beneficial to investigate, research, and compare other structures and organizations. This request is for a research committee only, not a suggestion to terminate any personnel or process. This request has the potential to improve and enrich Millcreek's leadership and financial security. I respectfully ask all three of the supervisors to authorize putting a measure on the ballot to commence a study and determine the best practices form of government for our township, and then let the voters decide. Sincerely, Robin Shepner, President and CEO, American Tinning and Galvanizing Company. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Enos.
Whoops. I guess I have to get down here. My name is Jim Stedman. My wife and I reside in Millcreek, and I'm a retired lawyer who maintained a practice in Girard for over 45 years. During the period of time that I was in practice in Girard, I represented 4 townships of the second class, like Millcreek Township. I represented McCain Township, Conneaut Township, which is in the southwest corner of Erie County, Elk Creek Township, which is just east of Albin, and Springfield Township, and I served them for over 40 years. The second class code was written for those kind of townships. They were all small, all predominantly rural, all with small populations, with lots of rural roads to maintain. Budgets were small, supervisors were frugal, taxes were low, supervisors were determined to maintain it that way. There's a big difference between running for office and getting elected and being qualified to do the job. We had a situation that arose in one of the townships I represented where we had elected auditors. Now, you've just gone through the process of increasing the pay, I think, for your auditors. But in rural townships of the second class, the auditors actually audit the books. We learned that they didn't know what they were doing. We had a tremendous loss in one of our townships where the treasurer also knew that they didn't know what they were doing, and so she managed to feather her own nest with money from the township to the tune of $374,000. Fortunately, she was bonded, so the township didn't lose any money. We got the money back. But the fact of the matter is, being elected as an auditor or even as a supervisor doesn't necessarily mean that you really grasp all the ins and outs of it. I'm impressed by the quality of leadership that you have here. Also, during those years, I served on the Girard Borough Council because we were borough residents. And during that period of time, we went from a council form of government to a borough manager form of government. It was an eye-opening experience. Suddenly, instead of having the borough secretary who knew everybody in town and everybody's business, we had a professional running the borough. And the management of the borough shaped up, and the borough citizens were well served, and the taxes were not significantly increased. I think Girard Borough is a very well-run borough now, and it has had a borough manager for about 50 years. So in terms of population, Millcreek Township's way bigger than Girard Borough or any of those small townships. But as the last commentator pointed out, it's the only township in the top 25 in the state that is still using the 3 township supervisors as a means for running the government. And I think moving to a borough manager or a township manager or some other form of government should be at least studied. There's nothing to lose and everything to gain. So I urge you to put this on the ballot to allow the citizens to vote on it. Thank you for your time, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing the public to speak. My name is Art Olajeri. I've been a resident of Millcreek for,
Rob, would you be, oh, okay. I was going to say, would you fix that?
I've been a resident of Millcreek for 35 plus years.
Don't worry, we won't cut your time or anything. We do have an improved system, though. Is everyone noticing a difference? Can hear a little better?
Thank you.
People, oh, they're saying that it's cutting out? Okay.
Okay, Art Olajeri, I've been a resident for 35 plus years. I'm a voter. I vote 100% of the time. I'm a taxpayer. I operated my business. I'm retired now, but I operated my business in Millcreek for 30 years. I'm here because I would like to see that government study on the ballot. I'm also here because two of you voted no initially, that you didn't want it on the ballot, and that's actually why I'm here.
That's not true.
Okay. All right.
We did not, there was no vote.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I stand corrected.
Yes.
You know, being a businessman, we always would look for better ways to operate our business. How can we be more efficient? How can we be more effective? And one of the things we would always do is look at our peers. What are our peers doing? And we would compare it. Do we like that? Do we not like that? When they were doing something different, we would ask ourselves, is their way better? Is our way better? Let's study it. As we all know by now, 25 other second-class townships are doing something different. Why are they doing one thing and we're doing something else? I'm not saying one is right. I'm not saying one is wrong. I think we need to study it. You know, as time goes on, things change, economics changes. Problems get bigger each year, not smaller. People change. Everything changes, so we constantly have to look at, are we doing a good job in our entity? And we should always be studying it, such as evaluating everything that we do. And we're always looking for best practices. And this is what I'm advocating. I'm not saying that we have the right answer or they do, but I think it should be on the ballot. And the people that you represent, you kind of owe it to them to put it on the ballot. And I respectfully ask that you do that. It's a little scary when I hear that there's pushback on having that on the ballot. I think we should give the taxpayers the right to choose their form of government, and let's just study it. If they opt for the status quo, so be it. But if they feel that another form of government is better, you represent them, we should go in that direction. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Art.
Just for the record, there was no vote that was taken to not put this up. That for an ordinance. There was no vote on it. There was no ordinance that has been brought forward yet. We were asked 2 weeks ago to consider an ordinance by Ms. Weber, and so I am not sure where that would come from, Mr. Olajeri, that there were two of us that voted against it or that are against it, because that is simply not true. Thank you.
I think what he meant was, in your sessions to discuss it, Jim indicated that he had pushback from you about it.
From our executive session
Yep.
that he spoke of?
My name is Sue Weber. Supervisor Clear and I met last Friday. I asked her what her objection would be to placing the study commission on the ballot so the voters could decide if they wanted to study. She said she was looking at how much the study would cost. Kim, I shared with you at that time, and I'm sharing with all three of you at this time, there have been recent government studies in municipalities in Pennsylvania, and some are going on now. We have checked their budgets. I have. At most, this study should not cost more than $1 per resident. Plus, there are grants available, which might make it a zero expenditure. At the time, I made you very aware of our deadline, and you know that if you don't make a decision, then we have to go out there and get thousands of signatures and get this on the ballot ourselves, which is not right. At that time, I remarked, put the question on the ballot. Between now and November, you can arrive at a reasonable cost projection for the study and let the Millcreek voters know what that amount is. If they don't want the money spent, they will vote against conducting this study, and it's just that simple. There's no need to hold anything up. It should be their decision, not yours. We have statutory deadlines to meet as far as circulating petitions to get the question on the ballot. So don't use cost research as an excuse to hold things up. Again, the voters will decide in November if they want to spend the money, because at that time, they will know the cost. If you refuse to place this question on the ballot, you are saying that Millcreek voters, after learning the cost before November, are not smart enough to make an independent decision on how they want their money spent. And at the beginning of this, you said that we're creating a timeline for the government study. No, you don't do that. That's prescribed by law. The government study, the way it runs, is prescribed by law. You don't create a timeline for them or anything. The law dictates when they'll have the first meeting, when they swear in officers, how long the study will be. You don't do that. If you were concerned about money, why did you pay for appraisals on the 8th Street properties and then pay $2,255,000 more for the properties than those appraisals show they were worth? You did not even get an appraisal for the Sandbar property, but you paid $1,284,000 for that property, an acre, when the land that Sheet sits on in Peninsula Drive, which is far more valuable, is assessed at $285,000 per acre. Kim, I also noted what a help it would be to the supervisors to have a study commission research the best practices, including cost-saving measures of other townships. This is actually a help to you. I am sure this will yield ideas that will save Millcreek residents more money than the study costs. What a good deal. A year of thorough research conducted by volunteers from your own township to help you run our township more economically and efficiently. In closing, let me say that years ago, when I was a Millcreek supervisor, I called the city of Erie, and I worked with them to purchase salt. I learned a lot from the city of Erie. We saved a lot of money by purchasing salt with them. As a result, other townships came along, and now we have the Council of Governments Joint Purchasing Program, where especially small townships save a lot of money by purchasing everything from salt to whatever, tires, together. So it's important that we learn from other townships. Again, please do not use a smokescreen of saying the cost is what's holding you up. Again, I told you what the cost we discovered will be. You will know it before November. You will be able to communicate it to the voters before they vote. Let them decide if that money is money they want to spend. Thank you.
Thank you. I did enjoy our meeting on Friday, and as I relayed then, passing an ordinance without doing due diligence and research is irresponsible. So we are not trying to hold anything up. 2 weeks ago, we'd been presented with this, and we're doing our homework. We're dotting our I's and crossing our T's. That's what we do with every decision that we do make. And so we'll be, I believe the deadline for the start of getting signatures wouldn't be until June 15th? Something like that. Yeah, I think it's in the middle of June. So, like I said, we just want to make sure that we present the numbers to the residents and for us as well. But thank you again for meeting last week.
Good morning. My name is Dave Oliver. Been a resident and a taxpayer of Millcreek close to 60 years. Have a little bit of experience, served on the Millcreek Planning Commission from 1970 to 1984. Some unbelievable growing years for the township. As Attorney Stedman talked about how inadequate at times people can feel in running a township, making decisions, I can tell you our planning commission felt that way numerous times. Of course, we were an unpaid board, just as you still have. Supervisors, same setup that you folks are. Probably the greatest experience that we had in understanding where we weren't was when the Cafaros came to do the Millcreek Mall. And when they entered that room, we were like kindergarten people trying to understand their development. They had all the facts, we had nothing, okay? And we learned in the 14 years that I served, we got better at everything we did. But truly, if you don't think that you don't want to put this on the ballot, you got to think this through then a little deeper. I agree with everyone who's already spoken. It's hard for me to even add anything to it. But as someone who's had experience in this township through times that were much more difficult and much more growth was taking place from 1970 to 1984, the interactions that we sometimes didn't have with the state, sometimes even with the city, other townships, but you really need to take a deep look at this. Forget about everything else and just say the taxpayers should have the opportunity to study this. Whether any changes happen, here I am, going to be 82 years of age. Lots happened in this township. I'm done. It's time for me to go to Florida and visit my children. But I would like to say that this township was left better in 2024 than it was in 1970 when I served. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak today?
Well, I feel like I'm getting a twofer today here, so thanks for letting me speak again. John Grow, former Millcreek Supervisor. I've lived here all my life, all 66 years. I can tell you how what I could see as far as the township growing and how it's changed. I grew up on Cole Drive way out in northwest Millcreek, 2 streets away from the Millcreek Fairview line. It was a dirt road then. Okay, I would walk to the old Vernondale School where I started in first grade. Things have changed so much. Of course, that school no longer exists as a school, and the street is paved. We have storm sewers out there. I remember when I was a little boy, I think I was like maybe 10, and we had storm sewers put in, and then municipal water. Didn't need the wells anymore, so I can experience, I have experienced the growth that we have seen here in Millcreek, and it continues too. Of course, the former gentleman there talked about the Millcreek Mall. That was a big thing here at Millcreek. I'll just make a quick statement here. Money should not be an issue about this, about conducting any study. This is the people's government here. The residents of Millcreek are the ones that really have the voice in all of this. I am glad to see all this interest here. It's like, wow, man, I think the last time I don't want to go down. That's a bad road. Then we're talking about an animal problem there. But anyway, briefly, in 2012, there was a petition drive because the Board of Supervisors at that time refused by a vote of 2-1 to have an ordinance to put the question on the ballot, playing politics. So anyway, there was a success with the petition drive. It did put the question on the ballot, and there were 20 candidates seeking to serve on that, and I was one of them at that time. And actually, just a little bit of history, Lilly Broadcasting was kind enough to do interviews. We gave each one of us a minute, and then they broadcast that show on like 2 weeks before the election. That way, those who were voting would know who they were voting for and what they stood for. So anyway, the question was approved, and then there were 7 members, I believe, that were selected to serve on that commission. I'll be blunt about it. I don't know if they really did their job. They come out with no recommendation. Move ahead to 2015. Myself and Rick Figaski, who was a supervisor at that time, we had the leadership and the courage to enact an ordinance to put the question on the ballot. And sadly with that one, the Sunday before the election day, the editorial board of the Erie Times News took it upon themselves, ill-advised, not knowing what they were talking about, to say no to the question. Now, does the newspaper have that much influence? Possibly, I don't know for sure, but it failed. And it was too bad that that person that made that opinion didn't know more about the question. I think what his comment was, it's too soon. No, there's several ways of writing a question for this ordinance. I do urge this Board of Supervisors to show the leadership that Rick Figaski and I did. Do not have the board, make sure that you're exercising the leadership that you were elected to do. The people that are interested in doing this, I mean, wow, it's great. Don't make them go out and do a petition drive. And other people are going to see this as like, wait a second here. They don't want to, the Board of Supervisors does not want to listen to what the residents are saying. Just one quick final comment. As I mentioned earlier, that I'm an instructor with the Pennsylvania Boroughs Association. I've been with them for 22 years teaching local government classes. And when I teach a class for newly elected officials, one of the things we talk about is what municipality they're from, how it's structured, and so on. And of course, I share what Millcreek is about. And the look that I get most generally is a deer in the headlights. Your budget's $30 million, and you've got 3 elected supervisors, and they work as administrators? Yeah, that's what we have. And I think, as some of the numbers have said, we're in the top 25. Of course, we do know that we're the second most populated second-class township in Pennsylvania, and the 14th most populated most populated municipality in Pennsylvania. So we're up there, okay? And I think our government should be run just a little bit differently than that. Money should not be an issue. Show some leadership, guys. I think you can. I know you can do it. So I applaud your effort to do that. And please, don't make these people go out and do a petition drive. It's just going to irritate them. That's all I can tell you there. Thanks for letting me share.
Good morning, Greg Rubino, 5050 West Ridge Road. Like some others here, I guess I got educated today. I thought there had actually been a vote indicating that there was no support between Supervisor Ouellette and Supervisor Clear to go forward with this study. So thank you for clarifying that this morning. But more importantly, I echo the comments of Supervisor Grow and others here. We should not let this very small amount of money delay what should be a very easy process. Leave it up to the taxpayers, and I would urge you to reach out to other townships that have undergone this transition. See how it has worked out. See if it has led to more efficiency, to better budgeting, to better management. Millcreek, of course, is a wonderful place to live. The police department does a wonderful job. And I think up until now, the supervisors have by and large done a pretty good job too. But it seems to me that the taxpayers should be making the decision about whether we continue this form of government or not. and I urge you very strongly to not make us go out and do a petition. It's a waste of our time, and there's just simply no reason for it because budgeting should not be the problem. Thank you.
Donna Shaw from Bell Valley. I feel like I'm a little peon here with all the experienced and knowledgeable people, but I have been a concerned citizen for Millcreek, and it's all started about a year ago, my interest. Well, I had to do something for this effort, so I went and surveyed my cul-de-sac in Bell Valley. And it was amazing, the interest that I got. I brought a total of 5 of us here, and then I brought my friend from Amherst Road. And then I have 7 petitions signed by people. Well, it's not a formal petition. It's just a request that the supervisors do take a look at this option and put it on the ballot. And we need to get a lot of things done between now and actually before June 18th. Because if we have to go to the petition route, we have to get the petition form approved by the Board of Elections. We have to have them print it. We have to gather volunteers. So this has to be done way before the June 18th date that was mentioned. And that's all that I have. Thank you for this time.
Mr. Shaw, if we were to make an amendment to the agenda to pass an ordinance today, I mean, I've done my homework. I've been researching. Again, this came forward to us 2 weeks ago. So the first I heard of this was 2 weeks ago when Ms. Weber came. And then I had one email at the time that we had a discussion and making
An ordinance today is not possible because we wouldn't have publicized it the 7 days in advance that's required, and as well, it's not on, an ordinance isn't on the agenda, so we wouldn't be able to amend the ordinance to do that in any event. So you can't pass an ordinance today because there's no, we don't have an ordinance, so that would not be possible.
Okay. I guess, considering the fact that we have the petition.
I mean, one of the things I guess you could do, and I think it's fairly covered by the topic, is if, in some circumstances, supervisors ask the solicitor to draft an ordinance, which, is something I think you could do if you chose to do so today.
Okay. Is that an official action?
Yes.
Okay. So I would make a motion to take action to create the ordinance?
Well, I want to say something before you...
Oh,
Hold on.
we're not done?
Is there anyone that wants to continue? No?
Sorry, we are not done. I apologize.
That's all right. Oh,
Everyone can speak.
no, you go first. Okay, thank you.
My comment, Ann Silverthorne, my Mill Creek resident. My comment is very, very short. I just wanted to commend Kim Clear and Sue Weber for sitting down and actually talking this through and listening to each other. I understand your meeting was an hour and a half long, and you actually exchanged your ideas. I think that is wonderful when people do not agree to actually sit down. So I commend both of you to sit down in the room, and also for Ryan Bizzaro for facilitating the meeting. I think what should be understood today is that we're not asking you to make a decision about the study commission. The only thing, and so there's really no need at this point to examine the cost. What we're asking you to do is just put it on the ballot. And then you have months to examine the cost, and you can communicate that to the citizens so that when they go to actually vote, they have that information. But right now, all we're asking you to do is, to ask Attorney Shaw to draft the ordinance, to just put it on the ballot, and then all of the homework can be done in the meantime before November 5th. But again, thank you so much for collegially meeting. That was I have a lot of respect for that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate Sue reaching out to coordinate a meeting. And again, I'm used to making decisions knowing the cost, and I know it's a popular opinion is that I don't care about the cost. Not true. So that is, so I want you to understand too. Usually, I think all of us take our job really seriously. Where an ordinance has to do with money, and when you pass an and you are right. You are right. We can determine the money later. I'm used to, though. You have to understand. Usually it involves money, and I have to make. I need to do the checks and balances. So that's something that you mentioned in our meeting as well. They can decide whether or not. And I was trying to, and since we met last week, I've been trying to put together. I've reached out to different supervisors actually, and township managers to try to gauge, the cost for such a study. So, but thank you. Who's next?
Familiar face.
I don't know this guy. Is he from Millcreek?
Unfortunately.
Oh.
Jerry Svidio.
Jerry.
1720 West Gore Road. My only comment about all this is, who knows this was going to be on the agenda today? Communication. I'm not blaming you guys. Well, if it's 2 weeks ago, and now you're in there talking about it, and obviously it's great to see all these people. Some faces I've seen before. A lot of faces I have. Concerned with this township. Well, concern with what goes on with this township and this board and who you want to run this township shouldn't be a one-time issue for you people. So to me, you have to be impartial. If you're going to decide something today, you got another meeting coming up 2 weeks from now at night, 4:30, correct? I think it gives another opportunity for people to speak as to or against. And I think there has to be a communication, and I'm not saying there won't be. I see only one television station. There's not a reporter from the paper. The media is a big problem right now. Excuse me?
Valerie Myers.
Here.
Newspapers here.
Oh, really? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I don't know. But, I just think, I'm not saying you people are wrong in what you want to do, but I don't think you stand up here and rush, and I don't believe in threatening people with petitions and all that. Puts a good face on you people too, So I ask you to kind of think of your way, think of their way. I've heard accusations. Maybe they're true, maybe they aren't. But if you're talking, it's a good thing. But if you're pointing fingers, you might get pissed off. Oh, excuse me for saying that. You may get mad, and you may not quite understand everything these people are thinking themselves, and they could, in return, work against you when you should be working together. Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, Mr. Crow? Did you have time left?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. No, I have my senior moments here where I forget there. I'm sorry. I do have moments where I forget before I come up here what I was going to say. I want to bring up something very important. In 2018, we enacted or adopted the Embrace Millcreek plan. And as part of that, there was a component of that which a study was done by the Pennsylvania Economy League. And it was to the EIP, which is an early intervention program. That name has changed. And it is done for municipalities that could, and I say could, be heading into Act 47, which is municipal bankruptcy. Now, I do not believe we're anywhere near that, but we could. Yeah, every municipality could get that going there. They have several recommendations which the board has already started to take, and that was the matters with the sewer. They also recommended getting a stormwater authority together. They talked about the fire department. These are all things that the Board of Supervisors has done over time. One of the things they talked about was changing the form of government. That was a recommendation, and that was done in 2018 by the Pennsylvania Economy League. It is a component to the comprehensive plan. If you look on your website, there's a link there. You just tap on it, and it has all kinds of good information in there. Sometimes it's kind of boring to read it, but when you look at the final synopsis of it, it tells you that is one of the things that needs to be done. And that would hopefully avoid us getting into any sort of financial straits down the road. Okay, I want to make sure that's clear. Okay, very, very important to know we're not in that situation, but if we continue with where we're at, you never know, we could slip into that. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak today? All right, thank you very much. We appreciate you taking advantage of the time that we allotted for this today. My computer shut down, so I have to look at my agenda here, I guess.
Well, Kim, after hearing
Oh,
the
yeah.
citizens' comments today and also the emails that I know we've all received, I do want to make a motion for the township solicitor to draft an ordinance prior to the next township meeting on May 28th, 2024, for us to consider this at our meeting on May 28th. The ordinance would be to place on the ballot for the 2024 general election a government study commission question as follows. Shall a government study commission of 7 members be elected to study the existing form of government of Millcreek Township, Erie County, Pennsylvania, to consider the advisability of the adoption of an optional form of government and to recommend whether or not an optional plan of government should be adopted? I will put that in the form of a motion. I hope at least one of my colleagues will give me a second.
I'll second.
All right.
Thank you, Dan.
A motion was made by Mr. Bach and seconded by Mr. Olet. Any discussion?
If I could, just a couple points of clarification, because there are various options that are allowed under the code. One is the commission membership of allows for 7, 9, or 11. I just want to make sure that 7 is the number that we're targeting, or we can, or that can be discussed further and decide what number is appropriate.
7 was the number that the group reached out to us with their various correspondence. I don't know if you folks have had any other numbers, but 7 is what I've been, that the group has come out with.
I've had some discussion with some other township managers and some other townships that went through a study, and they varied 7, 9, 11.
It's just one of those decision points that could adjust. That's all I guess I'm pointing out. And then secondly, as you know, there's another option under the code that allows for not only the investigation of an optional form of government, but also looking into a home rule charter. And there are 2 different things. The home rule charter would give a little more flexibility to change some of the basic rules that may apply to us as a second-class township. And I know that there was some discussion about the fact that we're a larger township than most that are characterized as second-class townships. And I know that there have been times where some of the rules in place are really designed for smaller municipalities than larger. And so that can create some tension there. And then obviously the the form of government issue is really tied to, do you have a manager, do you have a mayor, do you have a council, how that is structured. So there is that, those concepts out there. I just want to make sure that it's just the optional form of government that should be looked into, or whether it should be both. Again, just another decision point that, will define how that commission, what tasks they look at. So that's I just wanted to kind of point those two things out. And I just don't know if folks have thought about that, or if they realize that there are these options out there in terms of what to investigate and what to look for.
Is there anyone from the group that would like to comment on what Mr. Shaw brought up? Mrs. Weber?
We looked at all those questions. This is the question our group is asking for on the ballot. Home rule changes the way the game is played. Home rule makes it so that you don't have to follow the second-class township code. It gives the governing body the ability to raise taxes more. They have a whole new taxing situation. And I am sure people don't want that, because that would create a whole situation where the township could raise taxes above levels where they are now. There would be no certain constraints, but they wouldn't be very difficult. This is the question that we researched, and we came up with 7 people, because 9 and 11 is unmanageable. If you've been to meetings, you know it's unmanageable. That is the question that our group is requesting that you put on the ballot. That's the very question right there.
Okay.
I have a question. In this list you gave us about the 25 most populated townships, only one is listed as two are listed as home rule. So if it doesn't say home rule, they don't have it? Is that what we're being given information on? Okay. Thank you.
And I guess my only comment in response to Sue would be, that's only if that commission makes a decision to handle taxes in that fashion. I mean, it could effectively adopt most of what the second-class township code and tweak the areas that have created bottlenecks for a township of this size. So.
But if you put that question on the ballot to read study home rule, you don't get to study other types of government.
No, you can. You can do both. You can put a provision. It allows you to do one or the other or both.
Well, that one says an optional form also, and that includes home rule. So that study allows you, that question allows you to study all options, I believe.
I don't believe so, Sue.
Well, we can debate that, but that is the question. We want the options looked at.
So we want to make sure that the language is clear that all forms of government are studied.
You really only have 3 choices, and I'll read them here, because this is what the code says. Shall a government study commission of 7, 9, or 11 members be elected to study the existing form of government of the municipality, to consider the advisability of the adoption of an optional form of government, and to recommend whether or not an optional plan of government should be adopted? So that's the first one, and that just looks at, that would direct the commission to look only at the optional form of government alternative. The second one is, shall a government study commission of 7, 9, or 11 members be elected to study the existing form of government of the municipality, to consider the advisability of the adoption of a home rule charter, and if advisable, to draft and recommend a home rule charter? That question only allows the commission to look at the home rule charter option. And then the third option is, shall a government study commission of 7, 9, or 11 members be elected to study the existing form of government of the municipality, to consider the advisability of the adoption of an optional form of government or a home rule charter, to recommend the adoption of an optional form of government, or to draft and recommend a home rule charter? That third provision allows you the commission the option to look at either possibilities and make recommendations on either. So there's like I said, there's 3 options: optional, home rule, or the commission can look at both.
Well, I think it's pretty common knowledge among people that when people think of home rule, they think of county council. And a lot of people don't like the way that operates. So when they see the home rule, because we went from being a 3-commissioner form of government to a home rule. We're one of 5 or 6 counties out of
I'm just pointing out what the options are, and just want to make sure I understand what folks are looking for, and that they understand what those options are. In addition, the Pennsylvania law lays out kind of what the optional plans of government allowed are. One is there's three that are kind of the executive means, which is you have a mayor and a council, and then there's different strengths between the two parties, and then also there's the council and the manager plan, which is kind of the fourth optional plan of government.
But we're coming to you, this group, and we're asking that be the question. That's what we're asking you to put on the ballot. We're not asking you to decide what question you want to put on the ballot. We've looked at this and we've talked to people. We're asking that question be put on the ballot. That's all we're asking.
I'm not trying to argue with you, Sue. I'm just kind of pointing out the option because, we're obviously the board is here for all the citizens, not just certain groups of citizens. So, the idea is, okay, if you're going to look at the forms of government, should we be looking at both options or just the one? That's all I'm pointing out.
How was it presented before?
Mr. Rubino, do you want to come up and use the?
I don't think I need the microphone. And the many people I've talked to about this, nobody has brought up the idea of home rule charter, and as I think Mrs. Weber correctly points out, county council maybe is not the best example of how things could run here. I think everybody that I have talked to would urge you to consider the optional form of government, which would include a professional manager.
Okay. Sir?
Yeah. Of all things, I got new hearing aids and I forgot them today. But anyway, will there be a specific number on that committee, or is it 9, 7, 9, or 11? And if there are 3 different options, who will make that decision?
I believe that the way it's been presented is for a seven-person committee.
7, okay, thank you.
Yes, and that's what's been presented. That was the motion that was made.
Right.
That's what's on the floor and in discussion right now.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
No?
Okay, all right, then I'll call for the vote. Mr. Bach, you made the motion. How do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Okay. All right, next, number 26 on the agenda. Communications. Do we have any treasurer communications? Ms. Page?
We do not today.
Okay, thank you. We have a hiring request in Parks and Rec. Ms. Marsteller.
I believe my first item is for setting our summer wage scale, so I'm going to start there. The Parks and Recreation Department is seeking approval to set the part-time seasonal wage scale for the 2024 season. The 2024 wage scale would include the following changes from prior years. A 50-cent raise is proposed for all lifeguards. A 50-cent raise is being proposed for all retained maintenance employees, tennis instructors, and day camp counselors. A $1 raise is being proposed for pool concession employees, and a $1 per hour lifeguard incentive program is being proposed for lifeguards willing to work out at our Bell Valley Community Pool. Parks and Recreation Operations seasonal employee budget line can accommodate for these wage increases without any budget amendments. All proposed increases have been reviewed by the treasurer as well. So it's my recommendation to approve the 2024 part-time seasonal wage schedule before you with an effective date of 5/15/24.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Marsteller? Okay, seeing none. Do I have a motion, to approve the new wage scale?
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Mr. Bach and seconded by Mr. Olet. Any discussion? Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Can I just go ahead into my...
You just keep going, Ms.
My next
Marsteller.
item
Yes,
then is
thank you.
for a summer employee approval. The listed employees are requested to be approved for hire and rehire for seasonal positions with the Parks and Recreation Department in adult fitness, youth dance, aquatics, tennis, day camp concessions, park maintenance, barn supervisors, and volunteer categories. These individuals oversee and deliver the summer recreational programming to our community. Our programs are highly sought after and well attended thanks to the quality of the work that these individuals provide. Their work is essential to the success of our department. So I recommend the approval of the listed staff at the approved seasonal part-time rates for each category of recreation. Thank you.
Any questions for Ms. Marsteller? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Bach and seconded by Mr. Olet. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion carries. Now we have training requests. We have one from the Planning and Development and Zoning Department.
We have one more.
And I think we have another hire.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It just says hiring request in the agenda. I apologize. We have another hiring request.
I have it up.
Okay, Mr. Bach, thanks.
Okay, I have it up here.
Oh, it's the seasonal. Okay,
Do you have it?
I have it now, sorry.
Okay, a request to hire seasonal building maintenance. Jacob Skolnick, building maintenance, hire date of May 7th, $14 per hour. This comes from our administration department. Jacob would be under Jerry Berger in building maintenance. I'll make a motion for that hire.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Bach and seconded by Mr. Olet. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion carries. Next on the agenda, we have the sewer department training. And this is regarding Eric Pham collections license prep. The sewer department is seeking approval for Eric Pham to take a sewer collection system exam prep course. This course is offered through Mike and Danica Nelson Consulting Services. This course starts May 22nd and runs 8 weeks with classes every Wednesday for 2 hours online. The total cost for this is $880, and funds will be taken from the sewer department training expense. And Mr. Donikowski recommends Eric Pham for this. I will make that in the form of a motion to approve Eric Pham getting his collections license prep.
I'll second.
Okay, I made a motion. It was seconded by Mr. Olet. Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion carries. Now we have, let's see, from Ms. Stutzman, we have the Community and Relations and Sustainability, PA DEP Act 101-902 grant.
Good morning, thank you. The recent PA DEP Act 101, Section 902, Development and Implementation of Municipal Recycling Programs, grant round became open and eligible to Millcreek Township. This particular round permits applicants to request up to $200,000 with 10% to be matched financially by the applicant. The Recycling Department recommends that the PA DEP grant application request total project budget of $220,000. In this grant round, DEP will cover $200,000 with a 10% match from Millcreek Township, $20,000. Millcreek Township's grant request included a high-lift loader with a grapple bucket, a star screener machine, 35-gallon toters for curbside recycling, and recycling and composting education. Match-funded expenses will include the land lease value of the Millfair Compost Center. 4 weeks of newspaper advertising for the purchase of the heavy composting equipment is required. And if awarded, the expenses referenced above will be accounted for in the upcoming 2025 CRS budget.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Stutzman? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
You do.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Bach and seconded by Mr. Olet. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion carries. And we have next up the the annual Firemen's Conference Dinner. And to speak on this,
I can take it.
we have Mr. Olet.
Okay, the Erie County Association of Township Officials Annual Firemen's Conference Dinner will be held Thursday, May 30th at the St. Francis Ushers Club. The Cost is $15 per attendant. We have 4 people attending, for a total of $60. I'll make that in the form of a motion to approve for those 4 attendees.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion was made by Mr. Olet, seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? I guess the only discussion I have is I'm sorry I cannot go. It's a really nice event. I will call for a vote now. Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Next, we have executive sessions. Executive sessions were held on May 2nd and May 9th. At the May 2nd, 2024 meeting, litigation matters regarding easement dispute, permitting dispute, federal lawsuit, and code enforcement matters, personnel matters, and real estate matters related to park and rec facilities, easements, and the lease of township property were discussed. At the May 9th, 2024 executive session, litigation matters related to easement dispute, permitting dispute, zoning dispute, and code enforcement matters, personnel matters, and real estate matters related to park and rec facilities, easements, and the lease of township property were discussed. Solicitor communications, do you have anything further for us, Mr. Shaw?
Nothing further at this time, thank you.
Okay. And we want to wish our student ambassadors luck. I'm not sure if they'll be in attendance at our last meeting, but I would like to thank McDowell High School and the Millcreek Township School District for being willing to have them be a part of our meetings. So hopefully we can continue that relationship. Number 27 on the agenda, citizens to be heard. Any other citizens wishing to be heard? Dennis.
Don't you know his name?
Oh, sorry. I mean, sir, that I don't know, that's walking to the podium.
It's McAndrew.
Dennis McAndrew.
As a citizen of Millcreek, I would like to thank you for doing the right thing and putting the Government Study Commission on the ballot in November. And I would also like to thank the Park and Recreation Department for all their hard work. And I drove by today and the pickleball court was packed. So it's definitely money well spent. That's it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other citizens to be heard today? Okay. Yes, I would like to, before we adjourn, I want to thank Ms. Marsteller for all of the hard work and Ms. Murdoch as well. I cannot thank you enough for the presentation today. It was, and the report as well, which is available online for our residents. Okay? Thank you very much. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay. A motion was made by Mr. Olet, seconded by Mr. Bach. Mr. Bach, how do you vote? Yes. Mr. Olet? Oh my
Yes.
gosh. How do you vote? And I vote yes. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.